The second category of churches is the Tri-Nave Basilicas. The composition of these churches is more complex than the previous group. They have a plan extending from east to west like the single-nave churches. The main hall is expansive. It is divided by 3 to 7 double rows of columns into 3 naves. The central nave is larger than the 2 flanking ones. The altar again is situated at the eastern side of the church with 1 or 2 vestries. In some cases, the 3 halls share a double slanted roof, or roof of the central hall is higher than the other 2. The date of these churches is also estimated by comparing architectural style and other archaeological sources. The churches of Casa, Gereruik, Ashtarak, Ayrebart, Artsi, Titernavank, Korp, and others are examples of the category mentioned above. The Basilica of Casa is one of the oldest worship temples of Armenia. It is located in the Aparan city of Autumn region. The church belongs to the 4th to the 5th centuries, and some experts believe that this church used to be a pagan temple, which was converted to a Christian church. The rectangular plan is 5.5 meters wide and 11 meters long, and it is divided into 3 naves by 2 rows of 3 columns. The central hall or nave is 4.1 meters. At the eastern end, the horseshoe-shaped altar is located. Later on, a vestry was annexed to the northern side, which is continued by a hall and a single-nave church. The church is made of local grey tuff. The ceiling is made of stone, and it has a tiled roof. Today, this church is completely restored. The Temple of Gereruik is a classic example of Armenian tri-nave basilicas. The rectangular 10.6 meter wide and 25.8 meter long structure is fitted onto a high pedestal. By a set of 3 columns and pillars, the hall is divided into 3 naves, with the middle one being equal to 6.04 meters and the flanking one 1.95 meters. The central nave ends at the eastern end with a semicircular altar, which does not protrude outside the wall like the Kazakh Basilica. There are 2 rectangular vestries on each side of the altar. There are 2 arcaded halls at each side, which begin at the eastern vestries and end with square rooms at the western side. The vestries and the rooms open up onto the smaller naves. The Gereruik church is located at the town of Anipemza in the Autumn region. It was built with the pink tuff of Ani. The temple is thought to have been built sometime in the 5th to 6th centuries. Starting from the 6th century, dome-shaped architectural monuments were common in Armenia. The domed churches developed in 2 directions. First, the domed basilicas and their variations. Second, the cruciform plan central dome churches. The latter group has many variations. These 2 groups differ from each other by the detail of their plans, but the dome is a shared feature. The first domed basilicas had very crude architecture. That is, a dome was added onto the basilica, but through time, the addition of dome was built using architectural techniques and thinking. The temples of Tekor, Otsun, Mren, Kayane, Bhagavan, and others belong to this category. The domed Basilica of Otsun is located in the Otsun village of the Lori region. It belongs to the architectural monuments of late 6th century. It shares many characteristics of early Middle Ages basilicas, but at the meantime it has many distinctive features. This basilica is a perfect example of the transition of basilicas into domed basilicas. The temple has a rectangular shape extending from west to east, 20.7 meters wide and 31.6 meters long. The main worship hall is 11.55 meters by 22.5 meters rectangular hall, which is divided by two sets of 3 pillars into 3 halls. Again, the central hall is wider than the other two. The altar is at the eastern end of the church, flanked by 2 vestries which open onto the 2 narrow halls. This architectural feature of the basilica is typical of 5th to 6th centuries basilicas. The pillars which support the dome are located in the center. The octagon-shaped dome extends upward from the center. The church is surrounded from 3 sides by arcaded external halls, which consist of 6 arches. These halls were added later on. The main entrance is from the western side of the large hall. The well-proportioned architectural elements are completed by the gracious bar-lifts. The human figures carved on the central window are very interesting, as well as the grape bunches and vine leaves decorating the western entrance. Cross carvings ornament the interior and exterior walls. The decorations are delicate and highly artistic. The Temple of Gereruik is located in the city of Etchmiadzin of the Armavir region. It was built by Nigeti Catholicus in 630 at the place of the commemorative monument of Saint Virgin Gereruik. The hall extends from west to east at dimensions of 16 meters wide and 24 meters long. The horseshoe-shaped altar is located in the eastern wall, with 2 rectangular vestries. From the western vestry, an entrance opens leading to the tomb of Saint Gereruik, located below the altar. The worship hall is divided into 3 long, rectangular halls by a double row of 2 pillars. These pillars support the dome. This central square area of the church is the most important part of the whole structure. This is where the long and the wide halls end, and these pillars support the octagonal-shaped dome. The square area is also essential to the outer appearance of the church. This is where the wide and long double-slanted ceilings end and where the dome starts to ascend. The structural simplicity, but at the meantime great architectural elements are well proportioned, which impart a sense of completeness and integrity. The church was destroyed several times for different reasons. Catholicus Philippos restored it in 1652. In 1663, a triple-arched hall was added onto the western side, which carries the architectural characteristics of the respective time period, but it does not interfere with the overall architectural style of the church. Gereruik was completely restored in 1961 to 1970, and it is a functional church until today. A variation of dome basilicas is the churches of dome halls like the Paterni, Aruch, Tetmashen, Zovun, and Poros Petros churches. The Church of Patan is located not far from Yerevan in the village of Paterni in the Kotayk region. This church belongs to the 6th to 7th centuries. The 15.75 meter wide and 30.45 meter long rectangular structure includes vestries on each side, which have 2 horseshoe-shaped niches on the eastern sides. The dome was fitted on 4 pillars. The church has 3 entrances, southern, northern, and western. The arched windows have delicate and skillful carvings. The decorative carvings of the church are of plant, animal, and geometric motifs. These carvings are the best representations of early Middle Ages Armenian art. This church belongs to the architecturally well-developed group of dome churches.